When I purchased the old cannery lot on the edge of Willow Heights, I never imagined it would stir so much drama with the neighborhood's HOA. The factory had been dormant for years, its massive brick walls and unused loading docks collecting dust until I repurposed the site into a logistics hub for a nonprofit initiative I helped manage. Free supply distribution for under-resourced communities across our county. My name's David Reyes. I've served as the police chief of Eastboro for nearly a decade. I've seen crime waves, civil unrest, and more than a few politicians throw temper tantrums. But nothing prepared me for the passive-aggressive fury of Willow Heights HOA, especially from a woman named Janice, the board president. The issue started when a fleet of trucks, standard cargo haulers, began making scheduled stops at the property. We were running clean operations, daytime unloading only, no overnight parking, and I made sure all permits were up to date with the city. The factory sits well outside the residential core of Willow Heights, but the property technically borders the HOA jurisdiction line, and that little detail was all Janice needed. One morning I arrived to find a bright red notice zip-tied to the fence. You are in violation of HOA Covenant 12.3. Commercial parking restrictions, cease operations, or face daily fines of $750. I rubbed my eyes thinking it was a joke. The factory was zoned for light industrial use long before the HOA was ever formed. The trucks weren't even in the HOA's residential territory. Still, the notice came with an attached fine, and worse, a smug note handwritten at the bottom. Just because you're in uniform doesn't mean you're above the rules? I took a deep breath and did what I always do. Document everything. I reviewed the zoning maps, contacted city planning, and even pulled up historical land use records. As expected, the HOA had zero jurisdiction over the property, but Janice wasn't going to back off quietly. She escalated, filed complaints with the city council, staged community concern meetings, and circulated flyers warning that truck traffic threatens neighborhood safety. Now, I've spent my life building community trust as a public servant, and I wasn't about to let her undermine my integrity or my legal rights. I decided it was time to bring some clarity. I invited Janice and the HOA board to a formal meeting. When they arrived, they weren't expecting to see me in uniform. Behind me was a full display of zoning documents, permit approvals, and a legal representative from the city's land use office. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, you've accused me of violating your HOA covenants. I respect neighborhood concerns, but let's be clear, your authority ends well before my fence line. Janice tried to interrupt. You're disturbing the aesthetic of our community. I cut in, politely but firmly. Ma'am, this facility distributes emergency supplies to families in crisis. The trucks you see bring baby formula, medication, and food to our underserved areas. Your actions have already delayed 2 deliveries. Interfering further could constitute obstruction. One of the other board members looked pale. You're the police chief? I nodded. And I know the law, both city and state. But more importantly, I'm a neighbor. I would have gladly discussed this if your first step wasn't slapping fines on a legal operation. The silence that followed was golden. They rescinded the fines the next day and amended their community bulletin to clarify boundary confusion. No apology, but none needed. Their silence spoke volumes. Now the trucks continue their work, the factory hums with purpose, and Janice? She keeps her HOA focus limited to yard ornaments and mailbox paint. And me, I keep protecting the city, including her neighborhood.